Hey lovelies, Carla Nicole. And so I didn't do my show today, of course, but I did want to bring you up on game about something. I don't know if you guys remember last year I did the Last Word panel with Geoffrey Goldman, we had Steve Cooper, we had Satori Seals, and we had Clavon Professor X. And you know, it's my panel that I love having because these gentlemen all pretty much they are dynamic in their own right. So I wanted to let you guys know that today we did our first film for this year, 2018. So since we had that experience, I wanted to invite you to meet with us, Jeff and I. Here he is. And we're going to talk about how we feel about the Last Word footage today, all right? So come on and roll with us. How y'all doing? Everybody all right? Hope you guys are well.
What's happening? We just leaving out the Hibachi Grill in Springfield, Ohio. Had some delicious food. Put me up on some new things in a different area code. I'm humbly appreciative and my belly full. So
Yes.
Feeling good, feeling great. How are you?
Yes. So check out, let me just give you a little background about the Last Word. So this is my gentleman panel that I have created to make sure that men can finally talk and have the last word. I know, gentlemen, you know, y'all are the ones that follow me, and you guys know I like to have y'all talk and conversate and have a little bit of conversation about, you know, what's going on in the mind of the man. So, you know, it's really cool. So we had our first conversation today. So what did you think, Jeff, about today's footage? What did you think about it?
I think that a lot of honesty, a lot of positivity, and a lot of necessary information was shared. Having the last word isn't like a game of one-upsmanship between men and women. It's more so the way Carla designed for the platform to be is so that we as men actually have a chance to voice our truth and our perspective. And oftentimes in these social and political climates, how we feel and truly what we are that may fly in the face of what society would have you believe a man is or what a man's supposed to do. All of that kind of gets swept under the rug sometimes. So I feel like today, just like the last few offerings of the Last Word panel, was very instrumental in just encouraging men to not be afraid or ashamed to be who they are, regardless of whatever constrictions people outside themselves might try and place on them. Because we got a lot to say and we got a lot of relevant stuff to say. We just have to feel comfortable in being able to voice it.
Yes. Now, I remember one of the powerful things that you were talking about earlier. I don't think you kind of elaborated on the footage, but you had a good point about relationships. Why don't you tell them what your perspective was, Jeff, about the clearing of the mind when it comes to finally allowing a lady to take your space and considering putting a woman up as your lady?
The thing about that is, as a man, we're socialized to not show emotion.
Right.
Socialized to be strong. We're socialized to provide, be stoic, you know, if you will, and just deal with whatever. Keep moving. But as a man, you want to know that your woman is going to be your peace.
Right.
You got to know that your woman is going to take you at your worst and still know and believe that you at your worst is still worth her time and her mind and her energy and her body and her love and her everything, because your best will outweigh your worst on your worst day. You gotta trust that in order for you to open up and give somebody a chance to hold your head up,
right?
To carry your secrets, to be the one that you let down your guard in front of, to be the one that you're comfortable feeling vulnerable with and in front of, because everybody has an expectation of you as a human. Everybody has an expectation of women. Everybody has an expectation of men.
Right.
Women are encouraged to share and communicate and be vulnerable, and it is said, whether you believe it or not, that that's part of their nature. I contend that as human beings, being emotional and being vulnerable and being weak is part of our universal nature, because the flesh, as they say, is weak. It takes nothing to make us bleed. It takes very little to make us cry. Whether or not we are encouraged to cry and share these feelings and emotions that make us sad or make us uncertain or make us angry, that's another story entirely. So you want a woman that is not going to judge you and not going to use your emotional nature against you as ammunition. You know, you want a woman that's not going to act like, oh, you're not a man if you complain a little bit, or if you don't have the answer for everything all the time, all right? Because if you're a human being and you got an answer for everything, first of all, I don't fucking believe you, all right? Because that's not realistic. But just let me be a human. Look, let me be a man, but let me not have to qualify everything I do within a masculine context or a hyper-masculine context, because folks say that's not what they want to see anyway. But then when a lot of women see that, you know, more emotionally available man, they're not really sure how to take him either.
Right. Well, I think that sometimes when we, as women, we sit down and we really focus on wanting the man to be strong, and it is, I think, a lot of times to our disadvantage, we believe that, you know, because we've been taught also to just think a man is weak when he's not, you know, smiling or providing or in the role of what a man's supposed to be. So we automatically assume that a man is weak if he's not in his role, if he cries, if he feels sad, if he feels burdened, if he feels like he's not strong at the moment and he feels weak. I think that a lot of times we as women may think, well, you know, you're not a man at the time. No, he is a man. Heartbroken or frustrated because we believe that a man is not a man if he's feeling weakened or shedding some light on who he is. But we need to be mindful that sometimes a man, we should want to see all dimensions of him. And that means that a man may be weak or hurt or saddened, and there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean he's less than a man because he is saddened or weak. It just means that he is in a different dimension, and we need to honor that. So when you're finding yourself in a stage of vulnerability, Jeff, how do you still hold on to your masculinity? How do you still hold on to, you know, understanding you're still valuable as a man? Because a lot of men don't really understand that even though they're weak, that they're still a man and they're still valuable.
Well, here's the real truth. A man ain't a man with just masculine energy. Alright, because that's unbalanced, and everything in this universe is balanced. Alright, there's a reason that men got this and women got this because this fits into this. All right? That's the balance of humanity. There's a reason there's a sun and a moon. There's a reason there's a left and a right. There's a reason there's an up and a down, the heavens and the earth. That's the complementary nature, the duality of all things. And so, in terms of keeping your masculinity when you're still displaying certain traits or, behaviors that might be considered feminine in society, that's misinformation first and foremost. And the reason why everybody is walking around here trying to define and categorize these traits as inherently masculine or inherently feminine is because of that misinformation. Right. The most balanced individual, the individual that's most capable of giving and receiving healthy kinds of love, which entails empathy, compassion, and understanding, and a desire for all three, those individuals have pretty much equal parts masculine and feminine energy, because you can't have one without the other, and everybody needs both. Right. So I'm never not a man. Right. When I'm weak emotionally, or I'm weak in my spirit, or I'm uncertain in what my next move is going to be. Problem is, like I said, every woman don't know what a man is. Every man don't know what a man is. Right. Every man don't know what a woman is. We deal in these very basic qualifiers that pertain to one's anatomy. Right. And that's just barely scratches the surface, because especially in this day and age where one's anatomy is not necessarily indicative of how one prefers to be identified with those same qualifiers. So we got to throw all that old shit out the window and really redefine what it is to be a man and a woman. People use terms like real man and real woman, and I think that's bullshit, because I have a hand, I got flesh, I got eyes that move this way and that. As far as I know, I'm real, and I'm a man. And so that you ain't saying nothing. But if we spoke in terms of good man or good woman, right, then you're saying more, and it implies more. It implies more thought into the identity, not just who you are, but what you are and what you do and what you don't do. So as a good man, as a self-defined good man, because some people may disagree, I don't think in terms of masculine and feminine traits when it comes to me needing to cry or me needing to complain or me wanting to break down just because I've had enough and I feel like I can't take anymore. And what I need in a partner, what I have in a partner, actually, thankfully, is one that doesn't judge me for that or because of that. She actually respects and appreciates me more because of that, because I ain't too proud to show that I'm more than what my anatomy would imply.
Well, and I think that, it's a good thing that you brought that up, because I think we talked about that earlier. A lot of times we misconstrue the value of who we are because of, like you said, anatomical correctiveness, if you will. But now that we talked about that, we've learned over time that, hey, we can be women, we can be men, and we can actually express how we feel without having to say, well, we're not enough. That's not true. We're more than enough. But I think that sometimes we believe we're not, because we have these confines and defines of what we are, or definitions of what we're supposed to be. See, the problem is, a lot of times we don't really sit down and really take the time to listen to gentlemen that tells us, no, we feel this or we have that. One of the beautiful things about the Last Word panel is that I have men on here that have perspective and how they became men, and that's what's important. So I wanted you guys to just have a sample of one of my men that's on the Last Word panel. And
new text from Redman Charles. Listen.
Jeff is just an absolute guru
New text from Redman Charles. To listen.
His
New text from Redman Charles. To listen.
of how he has evolved. And I guess when we evolve, we definitely redefine what a man is. Because I say all the time, we're not born, but we become a woman. Well, that I'm sure is the same applies to men, that you're not born but become men. And so in that definition, Jeff, you definitely define it in this episode, I think, even more finally than what I think we have in the past. But a lot of times we really don't realize how powerful it is to have the last word panel, because it allows you gentlemen to talk about where your heart and mind is at. What do you think?
And for the record, it's not the last word in terms of a one-upsmanship between men and women. I hope I didn't already mention this, because I know I used this same phrasing not too long ago. We were just off camera talking, but it's not a one-upsmanship like, oh, well, I gotta have the last word, so you know. No, that's petty. In fact, that's stupid. Alright? Don't be stupid and think you getting the last word actually means something. That means you're kind of childish if that's what you insist upon, and if you feel like that wins you any points in an argument. Really, all it is it implies that you need to feel like your perception trumps
the only one,
like
right?
everybody else's. So,
Yep. Right.
scratch that. The last word, not the last word, but our word. Like, this is our word, this is our bond. Okay? A lot of women, unfortunately, it seems like they want to try and dissect certain things we say and try and piece together what we mean by what we're saying or what we're not saying. But here's the rub. This is the last word panel, goddammit. And it's a man thing, so we said what we meant the first time. You ain't got to figure out nothing. All you got to do is listen. Okay?
Yes.
If you're inclined to do that, you might just pick up what we're putting down. If you're not, I understand. But understand this, it's a personal problem. If you ain't getting where we coming from, it's not because we ain't breaking it down clear enough. It's because you don't want to. And we're going to say a lot of things that might rub you the wrong way or might fly in the face of what you already perceive to be, which may not be in all actuality. So stay tuned. If you want to, you might just enjoy yourself.
Yes, yes. And I also want to end it with this. It's very important that we take what we get from the last word, and we understand that, there's so many things going on in relationships because they're not lasting. They're lasting for what? Maybe about a month? 3 months?
Yeah.
They're not lasting like they used to. So there's different dynamics of today's woman and man that needs to be addressed. And with this panelist and the other two, we had conversation that talks about, we all can learn from each other. And the gentleman ways have been blurred, I believe, over the courses of the years. Don't you think so, Jeff? That gentlemanly ways has been kind of blurry for a while.
Listen, I agree with that. I also think that we overcomplicate things.
Yes.
Because right and wrong is really simple, all right? Good and evil is really simple, even though there's a certain amount of gray area in all things. Mm-hmm. Most of the important shit is really binary. It either is or it isn't. And when it comes to being a gentleman, it's about how you carry yourself. It's about the words you choose to use. It's about your mannerism. It can also be about how you dress, but it's more so how and who you are in reference to not just a woman, but yourself and people in general. You conduct yourself out here as a gentleman. All that really means is you're out here being your authentic self. You're out here being a man, and everything that society will tell you a man is supposed to do in terms of being respectful, working hard, being a good father, being a good partner, being a good friend, being a good son, being a good brother. All right, that's a gentleman. And it doesn't matter what you do for a living, because if that's how you're living as a gentleman, then you're not going to be defined by your occupation. That's just your spiritual orientation. That's a gentleman.
Yes. Yes. And that's what I love about the panel. We end up talking about things that, and I think that it's vitally important that we spend time on that. A lot of times we don't spend enough time confronting the issues or even remotely figuring out, okay, this is not where we were in the beginning. This is where we should have been, but we weren't. So how do we maximize the time when we're one-on-one in a relationship? How do we maximize the time without having all this headache, without having all the disputes?
Tell the truth. To tell the truth as you want it told. Now, one of the other panelists said, I can lie to you, like I can give you the lie, because that seemed to be what you want more often than the truth. Because the truth doesn't come on some Mary Poppins shit. It's not going to be a spoonful of sugar. The truth is going to be a steaming pile of shit more often than not, because the truth is, we're going to tell you how we feel based on the things you say and the things you do. And you may or may not be receptive to it, but that's the truth. And a man is going to expect and respect you when you give it to him like that, because if he loves you, if he's a man, he want to be with you, if he see a future, if he want to build, then he's going to need that information so he can make the necessary improvements for him, so he can be better for you, and y'all can be better together. I mean, it's simple. This is the simple shit that we complicate with all the extra unnecessary bullshit that we really don't need to speak on or put too much energy into. But you know, like I said, people would rather hear the lie, because it hurts when you got to put the mirror up to yourself and be like, ooh, that's ugly, or ooh, that's not as good as it could be, or ooh. But I was so adamant about all of this being your fault. So why are we talking about me? But it's not just me. It's you too. And the sooner we come to that, the more peace can be gained overall within
the confines of relationship.
Yeah, I mean, shit, that's really all you want. Is you want peace, you want love, you want understanding, you want to be able to have a partner. You want to not have to worry that she gonna love you anyway.
Right.
Okay?
And we talked about that, because earlier today we talked about how is she gonna love you regardless, even in your flaws. Yeah. See, because women, we have a tendency to think about, well, when we really love a man, we want to love him in what, cycles, or based upon what we like about him?
In seasons.
In seasons.
Sometimes it's winter. Sometimes it's summer. We long for the spring, but more often than not, we get the too damn hot or the too damn cold.
Right. So we're not really focused on the true, I guess, the true ambiance of the whole man in his entirety. So we only love him in segments. We love him when he's good, when he's buying stuff, when he's giving us comforts, when he takes us places. But what about when he's acting an ass? Or what about when he's arguing with you? Or he's criticizing something he doesn't believe you should be doing? Or he just doesn't see eye to eye with you on something that you believe should be the way he looks at things? A lot of times we have an issue with that because we don't want to honestly sit down and say, hey, yeah, you know, I think that it's to my advantage to love him only on the stuff I like to love him on. So based upon the dimensions I'm liking him at, then it's cool. But if I'm only loving you in a dimension to where it's favoring for me, then am I right? No. You're not loving that man in his entirety. And like Jeff just said, it's very important that we don't just love a man based upon in his one dimension. Men are many dimensions, am I right?
We are, but we're simple. Like, I promise we're simple. Any man that tells you he's complex, I feel like he just don't want to let you in to the extent to show you how simple it is to really be everything that he needs. He just probably ain't in a place to be receptive to being vulnerable in front of anybody at that point, because we're not complicated. Women, you know what to do to keep us together. It ain't rocket science, okay? So, yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Well, Red Band said, yeah, but what is love to some people is the next thing. Well, here's the thing, Red Man, and I've been writing about this, and I did this on my workshop recently, and I said, love is very easy to incorporate. Love is two things. Ready for it? Got this? Got
Drum
your
roll.
pens? Drum roll. Caring and understanding. Period. If I understand you, then okay. I'm taking the time to understand.
Because everything else falls under the umbrella of those two things,
Yes.
really, all right? You're talking about the major, which is caring and understanding, and one facilitates the other.
Yes.
And everything else you could possibly say, but there's this, and there's that, but what about this? That's all under the larger umbrella of caring and understanding. Don't get that confused.
Right.
See, we complicate things, but they're simple.
Yes. And really, I think it takes patience. It takes a ton of patience, because we need to really be honest with ourselves. What truly is our, what is our capacity? What is our capacity to understand?
What is our capacity to be selfless as opposed to selfish?
Right.
Okay, we're talking about self-care today, and people tend to take a negative connotation to self-care because it has the word self in it. And anytime you put the word self in anything as a preface to a statement or a thought stream or whatever, it automatically puts you in a mindset of, oh, well, that's self-interest, that's selfish, like it's all about you. Like, no, it isn't, but yeah, it is. But no, it's not, because sometimes you gotta be selfish in order to be better for somebody that you care about, so you can be more selfless. Sometimes you got to be more selfish temporarily to be more selfless. Because if you're constantly pouring into other people, eventually your well's going to run dry and you're going to get thirsty. And if you're not getting replenished, but you're in a constant state of replenishment for everybody outside yourself, then all these feelings are going to build up, and then you got resentment, and then you got regret, and then you have anxiety, and then eventually it might turn to anger, and you might blow up on somebody, and they don't know what happened, and you don't really know what happened. You just know that you're tired.
Right.
And so you got to love yourself first, not exclusively,
Powerful.
but first,
Right.
so you can love her as a close second, or like a 1 and a 1A. If you can navigate that,
Yeah.
then you got a good, healthy relationship. Because if you don't pour too much into yourself, where she becomes unbalanced and she gets to feeling neglected, then, you can continue to be Superman, and she'll continue to view you as Superman, because she don't want for nothing, she don't need for nothing, and you don't either.
Right.
It's a delicate balance, but it can be done. You just got to be honest with yourself, know who you are, know who you're not. Tell yourself the truth, tell your partner the truth. Make sure they do the same with them and they do the same with you.
Right.
And all of a sudden, you happily ever after, just like it's some fucking fairy tale. It's not hard to achieve. You just got to be mindful more often than we choose to be, you know?
And I think the capacity is very important. I think once we reach our capacity of where we're supposed to be, we can do it. I also believe that it's very important that we also focus on how important the man is in relationships. We cannot just neglect the man and think it's all about us and what we want. We have to consider the needs. I want you guys to stay tuned, because you will be seeing the last word coming up very soon. The clips are going to be phenomenal. You're going to start seeing a lot of promotion on it. And if you have not already actually liked and shared my page. It's Infinity Entertainment Group. I will be posting that today. So you guys can go on there and see some of the other video clips that we had with the last word. But this one, the cut that we did today, it is unbelievable. You're going to see a whole new shift of energy and how beautiful, these men are. Because there is a beauty of men. We just don't have the time or the patience to see it because we're so busy trying to criticize them. But we need to start taking the time to honor men and allow them to have the last word. All right? So, Jeff, I'm so glad you were here today. I love you like a brother, man. You're doing your thing. It's definitely so important that you're a part of this mastery that we're creating. You already know. Much love,
Miss Carla Nicole. I appreciate the opportunity and the platform. I ain't for everybody. So I hope how I'm saying what I'm saying wasn't too distasteful, but what it was, hope you can still digest it. If not, probably wasn't meant for you. But I hope you stay tuned anyway, because there's more to this thing than me. You can just kind of tune me out, all right? Y'all be peace tonight.
Yes, so glad you guys chimed in. Thanks, Redman, for chiming in. And you are right. He says that he doesn't find love to be a feeling. But we'll address that. I would definitely take that to the last word panel and let them address that, because that's something different, very unique. Yes, so go on. It's spelled N like in Nancy, F like in Frank, INITE, Infinity Entertainment Group, LLC. It is on Facebook. You can go and check out this guy and the rest of my other guys on there. The last word panel, man. They're hot, dope guys. Not to mention, very easy on the eyes. So you're going to enjoy that. Yeah, they all love that. And so, listen, I'm glad y'all chimed in. I hope y'all have a blessed night. Sorry I had to, shut it down today on Live with Carla Nicole, but don't worry, I will be back on next Sunday at 12 noon, and we're gonna have a great evening, and I hope you guys do the same. So I'm so glad you guys chimed in. It's Carla Nicole signing off. Best cat.
Good night.